So, welcome back. I honestly don't know what I'm going to call this podcast yet, so we're just going to roll with the punches. And as creativity flows and conversations with Chat GPT emerge, we will find a name for this. But as I said in the first video, when I talked about all of my equipment, I wanted to let the people know who I am. So I am a 24-year-old girl with a camera, and that's it. No, I'm actually a lot more than that. So let me tell you how I got here. How did we get to doing this? So I'm wearing my Metas. My Metas are connected to my phone, and it just made my phone vibrate, which kind of freaked me out. But so I went to Mississippi State to be a civil engineer. Actually, did not start out that way. I watched a lot of Grey's Anatomy while I was in high school, and I was like, you know what? I think I want to be a doctor. So the logical route for that was chemical engineering. And I was like, I'll take my MCAT, and then I'll get into med school, and I'll do that route. Yeah, that didn't work out. I got halfway through my second year at Jones County Junior College and was like, this isn't for me. Actually, what prompted that was a failed test in organic chemistry, too. And at the time, I had a 4.0. So I was like, no, I don't think that's for me. I grabbed the test. I said, thank you so much. Walked to the business office and said, what can I change my major to that will not put me off graduating at my expected graduation date? And she was like, something else in engineering. Well, I'm good at math and science, so I was like, that doesn't bother me. Let's just do civil. I know a girl who's doing civil. We'll stick together and we'll graduate together. So yeah, fast forward. I go to Mississippi State after Jones, and I do this thing called a co-op program, which is like where you go and work a semester, and then you come back to school, and then you work a semester, and you rotate like that. So instead of 4 years to graduate college, it took me 5.5 because I worked. But I also got a ton of experience. I lived in Birmingham for a semester, and then I moved to Panama City Beach and lived there for a semester, and then back to Birmingham my last rotation. It really taught me to be an adult really quick because I was 20 when I first moved to Birmingham. I had my own apartment. Thank God my dad moved with me, so I didn't have to do that all by myself. But the next time I moved, it was definitely like, all right, you're in Florida. You're a little bit further away from your family and your friends, and you are by yourself. But it forced me to grow into adulthood, and I feel like that was a very pivotal part of my life. So anyways, I find Tupelo. I find this cool gym. I start making friends here, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going through prep to do a bodybuilding show because it was something I've always been interested in. Whatever. I'm also doing prep while in my last semester of college. I'm like, I don't want to move. I had a job offer in Huntsville, actually, with the company that I worked for through college. And I was like, I don't, something's telling me not to move. I'm not done here yet. I need to stay here for some reason. Maybe that was my friends. Maybe it was, the community that I had built, but it felt like home to me. So I wasn't ready to move. So I turned down that job offer with not another job on the table. And you want to talk about a whole identity crisis. I didn't realize how much I attached my purpose to a job, a J-O-B, a career path, until I didn't have a career path, and I was like, oh no, what am I gonna do? Who am I? That was honestly a really dark time for me, but thankfully I found some little here and there work to get me through until I actually found a job at APMM, which is Auto Parts Manufacturing Mississippi. They're an umbrella underneath Toyota. So I worked as a engineering specialist there. I actually did more mechanical engineering than civil engineering, but I worked there for 9 months, and it was a hard time because it was in a factory, and I'm a creative, and that just suppressed my creativity so much that it depressed me even further. The money there didn't mean anything to the unhappy side of myself that I was unveiling through working in an atmosphere like that. And then I found a guy who was like, hey, I'm going to church camp. I can't take my camera. Do you want to use it here at the gym? And I was like, absolutely. So I started using his camera at the gym, fell in love with it, created this thing called flicks, which is what I call my photography. You know, I'm like, I'm going to go take some flicks, you know, get some flicks, whatever. It just kind of stuck for me. So I started doing that, loved it, was doing that on the side, you know, outside of my 8 to 5. And I had to work weekends at this job too. So it was like, it was not it. It was not it. It was buns. And, you know, I was just loving photography. It was a hobby. I remember actually having a conversation with my best friend saying, you know, if I can save enough money, like I actually told an amount. I was like, if I can get 10 grand in my savings, I will quit the job that I'm at now and pursue. I just turned on my music. No. I will quit the job that I'm at now and pursue photography full time. I kid you not, it wasn't even like 2 weeks later that Justin Brock, the guy I work for now, posted on Facebook that he was looking for a full-time photographer and videographer, and my best friend reached out for me on my behalf and was like, you won't find anybody who will work as hard for you as she will. And then I went in for the interview, and he offered me the job before I went home. It was crazy. I was like, man, this is going to be a huge change for me because, like, this is not a engineering job at all. Like, my degree for 5.5 years has been math and science, and now you're telling me I get to go take pictures and make videos. That's what I get to do. This creative, like, it was such a whirlwind, and, like, I had to do a lot of prayer to figure out, like, is this the right path for me? But, you know, I didn't have a spouse. I didn't have kids. So the only person I was providing for and am providing for is myself. So I was like, you know what? There's not going to be another opportunity like this to come around. So I might as well hop on it. And I did. And it completely changed my life. You want to talk about a drop in cortisol, a drop in weight, like drastically changed my physical body because I wasn't stressed anymore. I didn't have to worry about projects failing. It's a different type of stress, but it's a stress that, you know, I cherish because I create what comes out at the end. And it's stressful to create sometimes, don't get me wrong, because, you know, you want it to look a certain way, and sometimes you film wrong, and sometimes the pictures don't come out, and sometimes you're underexposed and overexposed and all these different things, but at the end of the day, it's controllable, it's fixable, you're learning, and I'm learning. Like, as I do this, I am learning. Like, I haven't been in this, but in the photography realm, but for like a year now. It's been like April of last year, so a year and a couple of months. And I just feel like I have never felt more full of purpose in my life than when I'm behind a camera. And taking pictures, doing videos, you know, all of that kind of stuff, just bringing people to life and like creating a picture for somebody that they can like hold on to that picture forever. Like, I recently just went through a tornado and stuff, and you know, people always say, like, when the house burns, when there's flooding, when there's a disaster like that, people are always going to go and reach for their photos. And I can tell you that is the first thing that we took out of the house when we were cleaning through all of the damage. Was the first thing that we went for was the photo albums. And that's something that, you know, really stuck with me as a photographer, because like I keep my own photo albums. Like, they're not just on this MacBook. I actually have a hard copy photo album that I can flip through, because it was something that my mom did and her mom did, and we would always go through and, you know, look at it and be like, Mom, who is this? So I want to do that with my kids, you know, flip through all my photo albums, and my children ask me, well, who is that? And I can be like, you know, that was my best friend at this point, and, you know, we were all of these things, and you know, these are my high school friends, and these are my college friends, and this is what I was doing at that time. It's just, it's crazy how you get to a point that you never thought that you would be at. And life is full of so many detours, but at the end of the day, you know, if you're following God's purpose for you and God's will for your life, that end point is always the same. And it doesn't matter the detours that you take. You're always going to get there. It may take a little longer. It's like when you go on Google Maps and you look up, you're like, okay, I want to go to Nashville, Tennessee. Well, from Tupelo, it's 3.5, maybe 4 hours, but it'll give you like 3 different options on how to get there. but the end point is always the same. So, and that right there gives me a lot of peace and a lot of hope to know that, you know, it doesn't matter the route that I take. The end point will always be the same. So it didn't matter if I would have gone to school to pursue nursing or to pursue being a teacher. I think it all would have ended up being right here. Like all of those years of school would have ended up in me being right here, speaking to the camera, saying, you know, this is me. This is how I got here. This is who I am. All of those things. So this is just a short little video of introducing me, how I got here. I'm a civil engineer on paper. I was always engineered to create, whether it be a structure or it be a video or build buildings or build a timeline. I've always been structured to create, engineered to create, built to create, and that gives me such a passion-filled purpose. So I will leave the listeners and viewers with this today. If you are worried and concerned about the future that you have in front of you, find hope and peace in the fact that it doesn't matter what turn you take, if you take left or right. Ultimately, that road will lead you to God's purpose and passion for you. And what you have to do is you have to make sure that God is the focal point of that. And if God is the focal point of that, then there's no way you won't end up where he has you planned to be or where he has you destined to be. Just remember that you are divinely destined for more. You are built for more. You just need to be intentional with it and ask God to lead and guide your every directions. Until next time, see ya.